experimentation we're going to see today. I think I have a couple questions around the draft, and I'd love to hear what Shadow's thoughts are, because it feels to me like that different teams have very different priorities in the draft, and we know that the Mad Lions, right now, it seems to be securing their mid lane champion. I know you guys love to either grab that early Orianna, the early Azir. What are your thoughts on priorities for G2 and Fnatic?
Personally, I think G2 is probably most likely gonna prioritize Kalista, since Perkz is a very good Kalista player.
Okay.
But I expect that Fnatic is gonna probably ban it. I'm not sure about Orianna. I think they're both very good Orianna players, so I think we might just see a first pick Orianna here.
Oh, you really think? Wow, okay. Because Orianna was something that I think has many counter pick options. We do actually see the Orianna banned away. What do you think about Twisted Fate right now? Do you think that's something that could be a high priority for both teams?
I think you need to be very good team to actually play TF, because you need to snowball early game and like try to end the game before 30 minutes before you get outscales. So yeah, I think both teams can actually play very well, so they might prioritize you highly.
Ooh, the Rekkles off. Jankos has been playing that a lot. Do you think that's really going to disrupt his champion pool?
I mean, he's been playing a lot, but I think he can just play any other champion, like Trundle or like any other meta picks. Ooh, that's the first pick TF.
Yes!
So it looks like G2 is going to go for what seems to be more of this early game focus split push style. We've been seeing it a lot from G2, where we've seen Akali in a side lane a lot. It's often used as a flex pick. We also see the Kassadin from them yesterday. It does, of course, let the Aphelios through, but with the Kalista open, what are your thoughts, Shadow? Do you think this is a direction that G2 could go?
Yeah, I think they're gonna go Kalista for sure, and probably some high damage jungler, because with TF you have a secure lockdown, and yeah, I think high damage jungler should be what they should aim for.
Yesterday we did see that Fnatic went all in on the Rekkles comp, right, with the Aphelios and the Karma. Now it seems similar with the Galio. Do you think they're building towards a similar plan?
I think they're just gonna pick a tank jungler, most like maybe Volibear, and just play around with Rekkles.
I do also think that the Galio is something that they're using to try and answer the Twisted Fate as well, because whenever Twisted Fate can look for a roam, Galio's ulti can of course then follow up, and providing that magic shield that you now get onto, I think can be pretty valuable. And I think it's not super easy for AP Twisted Fate specifically to bully out the Galio either. I'm also quite a fan of this Tahm Kench, because the gold card, very single target focus, the Tahm Kench helps provide that extra peel, and if the focus is towards attacking bot lane, then the Tahm Kench is going to offer a lot of protection for Rekkles as well.
Yeah, I feel like it's gonna be hard to snowball through bot lane with when they pick Tahm Kench, but well, it's G2, they might just dive level 2 or something.
That's true.
Would you think about pivoting to then trying to get a winning matchup top, Shadow, to try and actually rather than snowball through bot, maybe go through a carry top laner instead?
Maybe, but I'm not sure. I think they should aim to get a stronger jungler and try to force it. And G2 should pick a stronger jungler. Most likely Volibear. I still don't see a Volibear. It's strange.
No, there's not one around, which is a bit strange.
a lot of yeah, there we go.
What were you gonna say about Volibear?
Nothing.
Okay,
I mean, we did hear in a couple of interviews today that many teams do consider Volibear one of the strongest junglers right now because of how strong he is and how he can just become a tank later. With all these jungle bans, we do expect Fnatic to lock in a jungler now. They could consider the Graves, because that takes a high damage jungler away. But what are your thoughts here, Shadow?
I would prefer the Hylissang actually, but
is that Shadow bias, or is that the Hylissang?
Maybe, just a bit. But I think Graves is not the best champion to TF. Like, you can't really, I mean, you're very short range, and he can just gold card you, and you actually just get one shot. And they're not funneling into Graves, so he's not gonna be that strong.
That's fair.
Pantheon jungle, I think.
Yeah. And like that is a very strong mid-jungle duo. Like you have the double ultis from Pantheon and TF, making it very easy to attack a side lane. You've got a little bit more AP damage with the Mordekaiser in top 2, but the point-and-click CC coming out from G2 right now is very, very strong.
Yeah, they just go for the easy comp, right?
An important
I
game.
think Mordekaiser is very smart here, actually.
Why?
Because if you just ult Galio, they have no front line, and like Aphelios cannot walk up to damage G2. I think it's a very smart pick for them.
And then we have the Ornn to round it out for Fnatic. Shadow, which comp do you prefer here and why?
I think I like more G2 because it's you have to snowball early game, and you like to fight, and yeah, that's kind of my playstyle. So I think G2. I think they're both pretty good comps, but I still prefer the G2 one.
When it comes to mid-game team fights, who would you prefer there?
I think if G2 doesn't snowball in like mid-early game, I mean, Fnatic is just gonna take over at like 20-25 minutes. And the game is going to be over at that time.
Yeah, I agree with Shadow. I think that Fnatic's comp is very much about mitigating all of the early game pressure from G2. We saw SK manage to do it yesterday, but whether or not you can do it against so much roaming power is going to be the big question. I think there's a lot of responsibility on G2 to be proactive, and the question is, can they actually pull it off?
I mean, I think if they have to dive bot lane permanently, and if they don't, well, it's gonna be a rough one.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, we did see Caps have a really strong performance the last time he played Twisted Fate, and he was very active on the map. So let's see if G2 can do it.
Let's see. Thank you so much, Shadow, for that insight. Amazing pick and ban phase. But now it is finally time for a match of the week. G2 versus Fnatic.
And here we are in the battle for 5th place. Match of the week for Alienware, 3-3 for both of these lineups. But Frostgren, we can joke as much as we want about the current status of both of these teams, but at the end of the day, it is still Fnatic versus G2.
It is still back-to-back world finalists. 2019, 2018, Fnatic and G2. So yes, it is the battle for 5th currently, but you must pay them respect. And when they face each other, history has shown us it always goes down to the wire. I expect this to be a bloodbath, and I expect both teams to be on their best behavior and give us a good show.
And of course, if you're at home, if it gets really crazy, if it gets Fiesta-y, we'll have fun with it. But until proven otherwise, I assume both teams are try-harding for their lives, and that this is going to be a deadly serious match between, let's be honest, even if it's not shown in the standings, two of the best teams that Europe has ever created.
Two of the best teams in the world. These are both premier organizations. So that said, let's get into it. Pick up from the analyst desk, and a lot of what Shadow and Vedius were talking about is that it feels like G2 is all about that dive bottom, all about using that Twisted Fate to snowball this Kalista and this Nautilus, and Fnatic then picked up the tools to try to absorb that. They have something like the Tahm Kench. They have the Galio to follow this Twisted Fate roam. So there will be a big bot play at some point, and the question is going to be, do G2 execute on it? Do they start that snowball? Do they start being able to end the game before 30 minutes? Or do Fnatic buy their time, survive it, and then outscale?
And it's good that you bring up bot lane plays, because one man who has historically always dove bot lane towers is Jankos when he plays this Pantheon. We saw it all throughout spring. Often it was the Talia Thresh bot lane when Caps was down there. Now, obviously, it's very different. It's the Kalista Nautilus, but we may be able to set the same expectations here because Jankos is incredibly aggressive and abuses Pantheon's kit to the fullest in the early game.
And especially, as Shadow was talking about in the analyst desk, you know, when you do have a high damage jungler like a Pantheon, you can try to team up with that Twisted Fate pre-level 6 where you're not playing around the Destiny, not playing around the bot lane and the snowball, and try to maximize that point-and-click CC for the kills. So Nemesis needs to be careful, at least for these first 1 through 5 levels, that he doesn't find himself overextended and on the wrong side of a gold card and a Pantheon.
And of course, as we look at Selfmade and potential roam here into the mid lane, have to remember that both of these mid laners have a ton of setup CC. Caps, though, hovering down to the bottom side where he has Jankos, is not going to get caught out quite yet. Jankos around the corner here. Caps just going to walk away for now, not scared. Knows has Jankos in the area, and of course Galio full combo down, so no real follow-up, but already a lot of aggression around the mid lane.
Taking stock of the fact that it is the unsealed spellbook Twisted Fate as well as Galio. Not super uncommon, but we'll need to keep track track of those summoner spells. Currently both running the flash teleport, so again, it feels like things should be relatively quiet outside some potential ganks onto the mid lane until level 6, when it should be all about the side lanes.
And it'll be interesting to me to see how quiet Selfmade is in the early game, because we've seen what happened in the previous games. It was the Selfmade Soraka comp. It was all about Selfmade. Now this game's a different story. Rekkles is here as well. They have a second damage threat, but Selfmade was power farming the entire time. Can he really afford to do the same in this game?
And I like the point that the analyst has brought up about kind of the zone control when you have an Aphelios. We talked about it earlier in the day. We've heard it from Mad Lions that Aphelios is relatively short range if he doesn't have access to a sniper rifle. Graves kind of the same deal right there. So it's really important that Nemesis and Bwipo on this Galio and Ornn are able to create space for their damage dealers. Otherwise, they're just going to get pushed out of fights. That said, G2's composition also doesn't have a ton of ranges. Potentially a first skirmish.
And when you talk about not a ton of range, I think that's why we hear Shadow on the desk talking about how G2 really need to snowball, because it is just much more difficult for them to play out these fights the later and later we go. Smokescreen, of course, devastating against a lot of this point-and-click CC. Betty called it, and obviously it's so good, but if you can't see him, you can't click him, and that's going to make execution a lot harder. But for now, G2's composition certainly very powerful. Despite that, though, Hylissang still stepping forward with a lot of confidence here as Perkz and Mikyx just trading back and forth.
Level 5s on our mid laners. We're that much closer to ticking over into level 6, as well as the initial itemization and backs coming through. Need to point out that Cap started with the Cole, so he knew that it was going to be just a farm lane. He's like, this is fine. It's all about the destiny anyway.
And I respect it. You know Nemesis is not going to one-shot you at this stage of the game, and clearly both mid laners have their sights set elsewhere. It is not about their lane. It is not about their 1v1. It's about really the bottom lane, because I also don't think that we're going to see much in the Ornn versus Mordekaiser top lane at this point, especially when both top laners have burned their TPs to return to lane.
Also really like Bwipo's itemization. I'm going for the double health crystal. So obviously against a Mordekaiser, but it's mixed damage because it's also a Pantheon, so protecting himself from anything potential, not going either resistance, MR, or armor, and instead just grabbing that flat health, as there's level 6, and Jankos is already moving. Caps could follow.
We're going to be taken away here. Mikyx now stepping forward. He's going to get the auto. He's going to get the lockdown. Hylissang going to use the Devour really quickly, but the follow-up is there. Rekkles now ready to turn this one, but they're taking their time. They're playing it slow. Jankos on the retreat, but now the Destiny has come in. Gold Coward now moving down, but the Galio is now responding. Mikyx on the retreat. G2 potential on the back foot because Selfmade now on the way back down. Perkz running. Nemesis ready, those cooldowns seconds away. The gold card up, they're going to try to turn it. They lock up, but they still want to retreat. They're just trying to buy space. The flash forward from Nemesis is clean. Now Perkz is locked up the hook to try to buy space, but Perkz goes down. Suddenly, Nemesis still alive on the edge of death. Jankos set to fall, but will not go down. Selfmade running for his life. I can't believe it. Ticking. The Ignite goes down. Caps still stepping forward. Nemesis, he doesn't have the damage at this point. G2, they're playing on the edge. They're playing like madmen, but they make it work. G2, my God. Kid Gloves be damned. G2 are back in the bottom lane.
And Fnatic just had to survive it. Everyone knew it was going to be about that level 6, who was going to get the roam. Caps managed to find it, and if we look at the replay, he was actually stopped initially. He had to skirmish and run away from 2 people there.
And Frostgurren, this is why we love Fnatic G2, is because these are the teams that take each other to 100 health on every single member in a fight before anyone goes down. These are the teams that turn it on single cooldowns and single moments, and for that now, Fnatic falling behind early, disastrous. This is the team comp from G2 that snowballs incredibly well. That said, Fnatic got the scaling in the bag. They just need to slow it down and find their moments.
And it's essentially so dangerous right now for Rekkles and Hilly. Obviously, everyone's burned their summoner spells, but you're against a Kalista and a Nautilus. Kalista level 5, soon to get that level 6. As I'll hold it for a second and kind of walk us through this team fight. So initially, Caps is caught by Nemesis and Selfmade. Flashes over the wall, is now just trying to burn the Destiny. At this point, Selfmade and Nemesis like, he's going, we gotta beat him as well. Nemesis follows through. This is what the analyst desk was talking about. Galio is there to match the roam potential of the Twisted Fate. And now, G2 are just trying to get out of dodge. The stun from Jankos chained perfectly with the gold card to make sure that Selfmade is denied for a very long time. But look at this. Caps changes to Ignite, and he ignites Selfmade right there, and the final tick is what also pulls the Graves down. And at this point, then it's just the skirmish potential, the amazing CC coordination and cooldown management of G2 to clean up this fight.
The interrupt on Justice Punch there, so clean. And you know Nemesis at that point doesn't have a choice. He knows he gets run down if he doesn't turn. He tries to find the opportunity and turns against him. Now the trade of objectives. G2, they're going to grab that Dragon uncontested. Selfmade, not going to be so fortunate on the opposite side of the map. Now Nemesis is in the area. Wunder has to be careful as he steps forward. If he gets his jungler in, he can just ult Selfmade away from the major objective, but Wunder Throwing down that ult, denying the Ornn engage. Instead, fighting Nemesis at this stage of the game. 1,500 health. Jankos in the area. The gold card going to be there as they come out. They're going to try to take down Nemesis one more time. Selfmade able to grab the objective. Nemesis now gone. Jankos going to get taken down as well. Bwipo ready to turn this one, but they're going to back off. That's the gold card. Caps, no flash available. Cannot push any further. The pullback. Death's Grasp will not come out. Fnatic retreating there and matching in the trade, but also getting the Herald.
And we'll see where the Herald goes down, if it maybe goes down bottom to try to get this bot lane away from Kalista Nautilus. While all of that was happening, Perkz and Mikyx did shift over, or attempt to shift over into the mid lane, maybe catch some of that farm, maybe contribute on the back half of the fight, but it did alleviate some pressure on Rekkles and Hilly, who are playing without flash against a potential Kalista ult.
On the bottom side, though, it looks like we have the picture-in-picture. There's a replay, but also there's a skirmish going down bot lane. Nothing's going to happen there. Frostgrind, take us away.
So Mord opening up, ulting the Galio and pulling him out, but as Galio pops out of it, hits a really nice stun to at least set up Fnatic initially on this fight. At this point, it's 1-for-1, like you said, because Caps doesn't have flash. He's unable to follow up on the gold card. Selfmade did get the Herald.
And a bit awkward, of course, for the Mord there, doing magic damage and the natural magic resistance coming in from Galio, as though we start to see the top lane matchup, Mord being a lot more comfortable as he gets more levels under his belt, and he keeps that passive stacked. Bwipo on the way to the Abyssal Mask, but obviously has to respect the potential from the dive from Pantheon. Frostgrind, you pointed out earlier, the early health itemization, so nice, but now as we get later, as he builds more items and he doesn't have armor, he is going to be more vulnerable to Jankos.
I think it's a little bit more fair now that because he has more levels, and it's a bit harder to dive him, and it still feels like a lot of the focus will be about trying to dive this bottom lane while the towers are up. So I predict that's kind of going to be the next play, and Bwipo isn't going to be punished for having more MR as opposed to armor, even though it's mixed damage profiles, Mord and Pantheon potentially. I think he's just fighting the Mordekaiser for now.
And of course, difficult news in the mid lane is that while Nemesis has finished his Proto Belt, we now have a Sheen as well as a Rod of Ages coming in from Caps, and that's before he's even finished his Coal. He's only 12 CS away. That's going to be another 300 gold in his pocket, and that's going to be just a very big deal.
Do you want to give a quick shout out to Rekkles and Hilly though? I know it's like a really small thing, but you can see Mikyx even hex flashing and okay, we didn't see that one. And immediately going for those brushes there was actually, again, trying to punish Rekkles and Hilly not having flash. They've managed to play the lane really well where they're constantly shoving forward and then taking quick backs. Perkz and Mikyx never found the window to try to punish the flashless Aphelios. So small thing, but that could have snowballed out of control. Rekkles and Hilly held the fort. Not
giving any more opportunities to a G2 who's already found a lot of early game kills is certainly a difficult team to do, and certainly something that most teams in our league have struggled with in the past. Caps continuing to harass here. Jankos in the area just protecting Caps as he continues to push forward and starts to bully a bit more in this lane.
We do need to be careful of the potential dive right now. You can see that Jankos and even Mikyx were kind of pushing up behind Rekkles. Rekkles playing very respectful off the tower as they're trying to find vision of G2.
Especially as the Tahm Kench comes to the mid lane. We take a look at the top lane. Looks like there's a brief skirmish there, back and forth with the health bar staying relatively the same. The taunt comes out, but immediately it's reacted to with the stun from Caps. Good to prep the gold card before that one connects.
But while Hilly is also showing mid lane, it does mean that, again, Rekkles is still denied off the tower. It's not a huge gold lead, and the wave is pushing in, and hopefully his support gets in time. Okay, they're not going to dive him. We're still going to fight for Drake.
Now the Death Drum has come out, Bwipo retreating under his tower. Wunder playing on the edge here, taking some risks. Bwipo appears trying to bait him in, but here comes Caps in the meantime, just going to ghost his way in. Pantheon too, why not? But sadly, Jankos will not grab the assist, and Bwipo taken out.
And what is going to be the counterplay on the other side for Fnatic? They pulled down Selfmade, they're trying to just shove the tower, or shove the wave in. Dragon is going to be spawning in 57 seconds.
But if Fnatic overstay here, Caps does have TP. They could look to contest this, but Nemesis is on the way down. Fnatic certainly have priority in the play. If G2 stick around for too long, they could just get taken out before the rest of the team can even arrive. Perkz still playing aggressive. Hylissang caught out. The depth charge coming in. Can they take down Hylissang? Can they get the reset of the run? The damage is not there. Nemesis trying to find the taunt. The pullback on the Fate's Call, and Wunder in the midst of everything, doing so much damage. But Aphelios now free-firing. The blue ult, not enough. Fnatic pulling back. The Herald gets free time on the tower, but no one else is able to get the shots in, and G2 are holding for now. Suddenly the turn again. Bwipo caught out, but will dash to safety for now. The Ornn coming in. Maybe, just maybe they can turn it. Rekkles, he's got the white gun, he's got the setup, but the range is too short. He can't find the opportunity. Jankos flashing forward, the spear shot, the rest of the team on the hunt. G2 are merciless. That's the red card, slowing down the entire team. Gold card coming up shortly. Rekkles running for the hills. The Nimbus cloak, is it enough? Can it take him out? The hook will not connect. Nemesis slow. The Death's Grasp. G2 8-2 at 13 minutes.
Yeah, and just in time for the Infernal to spawn in 3 seconds. That was such a needless force by Fnatic. The Ornn ultimate coming underneath the tower. Bwipo staying for way too long, and as soon as he fell, G2 saw their opportunity and just ran through Fnatic there.
It's such a long, extended fight. Perkz and Mikyx, it felt like playing very boldly to step so far forward as we see the Drake come down in the meantime.
And again, I like this initial play from Fnatic. They're trying to trade cross-map. They just saw G2 on the top side. They get some plate gold. And this, yeah, Hilly's not entirely synced with his team, but it's like, okay, it makes sense. Fnatic have the numbers advantage. They're trying to skirmish early. It's kind of at this point that I think you need to prioritize the Drake. Bwipo gets pulled into the tower, takes a ton of damage, and then turns around and uses the Ornn ultimate, and then gets pulled in again.
And for us, Gurn, I think the thing that we're seeing is, well, one, G2 coming into this play have a gold lead, right? And they're ahead on the play, or they're behind on the play slightly on this one, but they have the TP advantage. But the thing that makes this even more difficult is we're running into, I think, some of the same problems from the last Fnatic competitions we saw last week, which is that, yes, they can get Perkz low, but it's so hard for them to finish because while Nemesis can leap forward, Selfmade and Rekkles do not have the space to do so because there's so much disruption from the rest of G2.
And it's also just, again, it feels a little bit forced from Fnatic. You know, you can play this one a bit slower, play around your big, beefy tanks, play around your Aphelios. You're kind of playing into the hand of G2's composition when they're stronger on these initial item power spikes.
Absolutely are. We already have the Leandries now coming in from Wunder. You look at the respective laners. Perkz falling a little bit behind Rekkles, but just barely, whereas Caps, Jankos, and Wunder topping out the charts here in terms of individual gold. And Lichbane, Roa, Swifties at 1450 in the game. Caps is terrifying. And Wunder's going to keep using this ult, keep pressuring Bwipo. Bwipo going to flash here in the exchange. What? Is this a replay? It's not a replay. One more time. If first it works, why not try it again?
And Wunder cleverly using the Mordekaiser ultimate to kind of force Bwipo to at least fight him or hold him in place while Caps makes his way up there to finish off on the play. Kind of a cool and cute combo.
And I gotta say, of all the things that we've seen both these teams experimenting with, the Mordekaiser TF duo to shut down a top laner is looking damn good.
Also the fact that, you know, double AP, you'd think then that Bwipo having itemized into so much MR, it would help him out there, but...
Yeah, sadly that if you just hit him with all your spells, he's just not tanky enough. Not yet. Maybe it gets a little bit different as the Abyssal Mask, but of course he's falling further and further behind, down a level. Mikyx here ready to contest in the jungle. Selfmade running in as well. Rekkles set up with excellent guns here. The Caliburn gives him the extra range. Maybe they can keep this going. The taunt, where's it going to go? Only able to connect on one. Definitely not what they want. Caps just autoing freely over the wall. The Rekkles ult goes wide. Not what they needed. Selfmade going to use his ult to disengage as Wunder continues to pressure in on the top side. Fnatic still fishing for these opportunities, but running out of options fast.
Yeah, and unfortunately, one of the issues for Rekkles was that he didn't feel confident to step up there. He had someone flanking him on the side. I'll double check when we get the replay. I'm sure we'll get. And so you couldn't just follow up on any of the damage. And because it is a Galio composition, and because Graves is a scaling-oriented jungler, yeah, he does a lot of damage, but he still needs some of those core items. And we saw in the gold chart that he's doing his best to try to farm, but Pantheon kind of got springboard ahead of him. There's not a ton of kill threat if your Aphelios doesn't also get to hit the target.
And Frost Gurn, when we look at this, G2 Esports has had a sloppy season so far. But when you look at those stats, this is spring G2 Esports. This is the aggressive, build an early gold lead, absolutely outplay the opposition, and this is what fans wanted anytime G2 takes the stage. So the fact that this feels like outside of that Mad Lions game, the first time we're really seeing this level of play from G2 in the game versus Fnatic has to feel so good for that fan base.
And it is a sizable gold lead at this point. We know that G2 are good at snowballing, but it does feel that Fnatic have pumped the brakes. They're trying to get kind of their feet back from underneath them and just play this one a bit more slow. Try to wait for Aphelios as G2 pressing the gas.
Sadly, the taunt, definitely not the ideal interaction there, as it means the gold card connects anyway. Nemesis more than tanky enough to get out. The question is, do G2 overstay their welcome? No immediate reliable hard CC to stop Caps from just walking away. Perkz will break the mid or the bot lane tower. G2 will hold on to a 4K gold lead as well as the 2 Drakes. Hylissang has to be careful here. Gets the cheeky ward over the wall and will spot out Jankos. Not going to give anything else up. But as you said, Fnatic holding on, stalling, buying time. That is the name of the game.
So what we're looking at next is, of course, going to be the dragon that's spawning in 46 seconds. You can see that G2 have made their back. They're probably going to pick up their wards. There you go from Mikyx. Move back in, contest mid-priority, and fight for this Drake. And how confident are Fnatic feeling? You have the stopwatch available for Nemesis. You have the Infinity Edge, so the immediate battle stats and the crit from Aphelios on his build.
Will help a decent amount. Waiting for those big ultimates. Obviously, we've seen what Aphelios even on 2 items can do to a team fight. As Rekkles has ideal team fight set up here with the Grab and Some as well as the Infernum. Big ults to get things kicked off or to deal the follow-up damage to someone else and get it started. Bwipo's ult now coming in. Where's it going to go? It's going to connect on 3 members. That's a good start. But Wunder's disrupted the entire team, pulling Nemesis into the Delph Realm, denying that Galio front line. Bwipo now pulled back, the rest of the team collapsing. Bwipo gonna get taken out before the fight even starts, and Wunder's in the midst of everyone, and he's just not taking any damage. Absolutely unkillable, and here comes Nemesis, but into the jaws of G2 he goes. Fnatic turning, Rekkles suddenly firing back. They're holding on for now, but G2 still winning. Oh no, nothing left for the Aphelios. Shut down, taken out, give him the triple, give him the quadra. Perkz, an absolute monster.
And G2 just ripped through Fnatic right there. Wunder taking the Galio out of the fight means that there's no zone control for Rekkles. He's unable to really apply any damage or step forward in these team fights, and Wunder and G2 are just ripping through it.
Incredible game from G2 so far. 7K gold lead, breaking down another tower. Perkz 4-1 and 4, 2-0, 8, 4-1 and 6, 3-0, 10, 1-1, 8. Every single scoreline is a thing to behold.
And I think, unfortunately, the game has just gotten so far away from Fnatic. Yes, this team can be creative to try to problem solve their way back into it, but they don't have the easiest wave clear like an Orianna, like an Azir to try to stall out games. They're pretty much really reliant on the Aphelios or a melee range Galio, which means that the towers will just start falling to the snowball.
And as you see this team fight, Wunder, of course, tries to take one of the tanks out of the fight, sets up for them to collapse on Bwipo, but then as Wunder comes out,
he's just right in the middle of them.
The damage just isn't there. His passive's proc, the healing is coming in. He's just a hard man to kill, and Rekkles does what he can to find a kill back, but now Kalista, so many low health targets just to clean through this team fight, and G2 flexing their gold lead this late in the fight.
Should be noted, though, that at the back end, Perkz and Jankos did use their flash to chase down Rekkles. So maybe it gets a little bit better for Rekkles for the next team fight.
The problem is, Frosker, normally in these situations, you talked about wave clear, the Oriannas, the Azirs, the champions that can hold on and stall safely. Fnatic have none of those. The other half of that coin is disengage. Ornn ult is your disengage. Galio taunt is your disengage, which more often than not means sacrificing one of those to buy space for the rest of your team. There's no cask, there's no Janna Monsoon, there's no way to reset a fight. So if G2 get on top of you with this kind of gold lead, you die. Nothing else.
So the questions are, what do Fnatic do to stall out until they feel confident to take these team fights again? Because I agree, it's really dire, especially in how the comps are executing these team fights, and especially kind of at this current map state when you look at the item differences right now. And the big thing is going to be the Baron. Baron is now in play. Obviously, with the Kalista on your team, you have a stronger Secure, but that is also then a big objective that G2 could fumble, and perhaps Fnatic can find their way back in.
I mean, but at the same time, this is what it's come down to, right? Where we're looking for the fumble and not for for much else.
G2 also have a really amazing Baron stat in that they do not need Baron to close games. They are so practiced at playing the 1-3-1 that they don't even have to turn towards the purple monster that majority of teams would rely on.
Absolutely. And I think just to further indicate how oppressive this game has been from G2 as a whole, but especially from that man in the mid lane, Caps, I just want to highlight some of the itemization choices coming in from him. Now he finished his Rod of Ages at 10:15, and then able to finish the Lichbane as well at 14:31. I'll hold that thought that we're getting the fight kicked off, and now Caps has been caught out. Maybe that's more than enough. Selfmade now trying to throw down the damage, but Caps makes it over the wall. They're now on the retreat. They know this is not the fight that they want to take. Wunder buying as much, or doing what he can in the mid lane, going to break down a tower, maybe look for the inhib as well, seeing what the rest of the team is doing before he continues.
Now that was the clear disengage call from G2 to buy time from Wunder. Great cross-map communication. Fnatic kind of threw everything in the Kench and Sync to try to get him. Maybe they turn it on Wunder.
Wunder, of course, Death Realm is up and available. He can't isolate a single target and get a fight kicked off. Nemesis is the one he's picked. He's shredding through that Leandry's doing a lot of work, and now Caps is coming in again. We've seen this combo every single time. G2 are still winning this fight. It starts so good for Fnatic, but you cannot find a man advantage against a Mordekaiser. Rekkles cut down, and G2, they're taking their time. They can't end the game right at this point, but they have absolutely demolished from every minute of this game.
It is a 10K gold lead at this point. Fnatic faithful, you basically feel Selfmade right now as Perkz picks up the triple kill. You guys just got washed.
This is it. I thought they couldn't end, but they're just going to do it. They're just going to walk into the base. Maybe Fnatic one last desperate stand, but they're shredding through these towers. The creep wave's there. G2, will they do it? And here we go. Hylissang locked up.
Caps is just going to teleport back in.
They can just hit. Mickey goes golden, buys a bit more time. The rest of Fnatic is here. Maybe this is the overstep we were waiting for. Nemesis trying to buy space. That's the shutdown on the Jankos. Mickey next on the list. Caps waiting over the wall. The TP's come in. Just going to get the gold card and back off. G2 will not end here, but Fnatic, they were already on their last legs. Now they're on their last breath.
But they will have numbers advantage onto the map first. I don't think it's enough to immediately turn towards a Baron, but a bit of G2's ego coming into play there. As we take another look at this one, again, Cap's entire time has Zhonya's Hourglass. So Fnatic throw everything, that's 2 big key ultimates, the Ornn ultimate and the Galio ultimate. Meanwhile, G2 are just buying time for Wunder on this end hit here. Fnatic, desperation has struck. They then use the Abyssal Voyage, like we have to get something here. We've lost all our major cooldowns, but Wunder is so far ahead at this point. Level 14. Is able to grab the 1v1, and that buys enough time for the rest of G2 to catch up. Caps gets onto the back line, still has Hourglass at this point, assassinates Rekkles, and just looks like they're playing with their food.
And right now, G2 reminding us why they look like a top team. You heard from Shadow, maybe, hey, we expected from week 4 for these teams to turn it around and shift it, but G2 are turning it around right now. They're getting no quarter to Fnatic, but still, G2 play with respect. The double taunt now coming in. Rekkles can't move too far forward. Nemesis has been locked up. They're walking into the gun turret there from Aphelios. Could be risky, but no. Wunder finds Rekkles. Maybe Rekkles can turn it, but he just doesn't have the stats. He's just getting cut down by Wunder. And now Jankos steps forward. Hylissang simply the next name on a list. Selfmade potentially to follow as Perkz comes over the wall, and they are just demolishing Fnatic. That is the ace that will be the game. Frostgorin, a stunning performance from G2.
And the thing is this composition, it is just raining from the heavens above. The Pantheon's on top of you, the Twisted Fate's on top of you. G2 are just smothering Fnatic. We thought it was going to be close. We thought it was going to be back and forth, but everyone said it. This will be G2, and it won't even be close.
And we can never forget, when it matters most, when the pressure is on, G2 Esports come up clutch. It doesn't matter if it's Fnatic or anyone else, they will find a way.